Hi! So in this video I'm talking about how you can create more connection with your child or with your children so that their behaviour improves. You probably love it when your children are being all cooperative and helpful and doing what you ask, getting on well. And you probably don't love it quite so much, or even not at all, when they're resisting, refusing, being rude, being angry, upset, etc. You may even feel, much as you love your children all of the time, that you don't even like them much in those moments. Well, this is the actual difference that being connected makes. When children feel connected, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel loved, and they feel understood, and their behaviour is like in the first scenario. And when they're feeling a bit disconnected, they feel a bit misunderstood, they maybe feel no one's on their side, the adults don't get them, and they can feel a bit lonely and their behaviour deteriorates quite fast. So that's the difference that it makes, and why it's really important and worth working out how you can connect more with your children. So I'm Una, I'm the founder of Wise Parenting, and I help parents like you who are struggling or having a struggle with the relationship with their child or their children, finding it stressful. And I help you reconnect with your children, create a close, loving relationship so that you can all get on with having a calm, happy family. So here's the thing. Children are wired for connection. There was this really chilling experiment in the 19th century where orphan babies were taken and offered immaculate physical care, but they weren't offered any relationship or connection with their carers. And all these babies died. Yes. And even our children who are in different circumstances and a bit older and so on, they can feel that the relationship to us, the connection with us, is a matter of survival for them. It's almost like a matter of life and death. They need it so much. It's a primary need amongst their primary needs. And if they're not getting it, they will ask for it. They'll demand it almost, with all those behaviours we were talking about just now, like refusing, being rude, digging their heels in. And so that's why it makes all the difference when we start to reconnect, because that's the flip side. When we do reconnect, those behaviours settle down. Children they feel better, and they start behaving much better. And everything gets much easier. And you also get to feel confident that you're setting your child up for a happy, healthy adulthood. And everyday life goes much more smoothly. Like I'm thinking of an 8-year-old boy who couldn't be made or cajoled or anything to do chores. Really grumpy and unwilling. And when his mum learnt to reconnect with him, he became much more responsive, and there was a time when she asked him, for example, to clear up the Nerf gun bullets in the living room. And he not only did it, but he pulled out the sofa and cleared out a whole load of junk from behind there as well. So that's the difference it makes. So the question is, how can you start connecting more with your child? And the first step is to get curious about their take on their world, their take on life. Here's an example. There was a 6-year-old boy and his family were house hunting. They went to visit a house. They were standing around in the garden of this house, and all the adults were chatting. And this boy looked around and he saw an apple tree. He climbed the tree and started throwing the apples at his family group. And of course, all the adults got very upset and started shouting at him. And the mother who was telling me this story, she said, Una, he's so unpredictable. I just don't know what to do. And I said to her, well, look, imagine that you're 6 years old, you're in a random garden, you're bored, the adults are chatting, you look around, you see this tree and you have this brilliant idea, you're going to create some fun and amusement for yourself. And then it all goes horribly wrong and you're in trouble again and you just feel so confused. And she said to me, are you saying, Una, that he's not a naughty boy, he's just trying to tell us something. And I said, yes, that's exactly it. He's just trying to tell you something. And when she went off with this knowledge that her son was just trying to tell her something, they started having completely different kinds of conversation. She wasn't telling him off anymore. She was talking about his experience and problem solving with him about how he could solve that situation again in different ways that would work for everyone. You see? And this boy became way more reasonable, way calmer and more easy to be with after this. So the question is, what is going on for your child? What is their take on things at the moment? So we can do a little experiment if you're up for that. And that is right here and now to imaginatively slip into their body, whether it's a 2-year-old body or a 12-year-old body, it doesn't matter. And just have a look around. What are they seeing? What is your child seeing? What are they feeling in here? How does life look? What are the faces of the adults around them looking like? And often when I do this experiment with people, they get in touch with what their child is feeling, and it brings up a kind of compassion because they realize that in some way their child is feeling a bit confused or a bit lonely, not sure why they're in so much trouble or feeling like no one's on their side. And what happens then is that your face becomes softer because you're feeling more in tune, and the way you speak is different. And so say this happened. Your child said tomorrow, like, I don't want to go to school. And you might start thinking, I wonder why that is. And say to them, oh, is that because you're still feeling a little bit upset about what happened in the playground yesterday? Yeah, I get it. That was a bit confusing. That was a bit tough, wasn't it? Let's have a little sit on the sofa and a little chat, and then we'll pack your bag together, okay? And so your child still goes off to school, but they're feeling connected, and that's the difference. So a part of you might be thinking, well, this is great. I love this. And it is great, really. I call it the scenic route to better behaviour. And another part of you might be thinking, but shouldn't my child just be listening to me and doing what I said? Isn't that what children are meant to do? And you may even have a sister or a friend who says, I just wouldn't stand for that behaviour, who has the more disciplinarian approach. And I get it. For some people that works, and that's fine. And I call that disciplinarian, more punitive approach. I call it the old school parenting. And it does work for some. I think there is a problem with it in that it skips out what's happening here for your child in their feeling life. But it does work for some. And it doesn't work for every child. And if it's not working for your child, there is another way. And that starts with connecting. And you can go a really long way with connecting. It's not everything. There are other steps, and I talk about these in my other videos. But you can go a really long way with connecting, and it's a great place to start. So I'd love you to be able to take some really practical steps after this video. So on the page where you're watching this, there is a link to download my guide, the guide that I made for you, right? To help you with this. It's called Solve the Struggle with Your Kids, and it gives you the steps with how to connect and guide your child in the way that I've described in this video. It's kind of a Goldilocks guide, not too big, not too small, and it'll get you started. And there's also my parents pack, which if you see that, download that as well. It's highly relevant too. So thank you very much for watching. It's been great speaking with you, and I'll catch you later.